What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we have a very special episode of an offseason and mock draft with the Colts and featuring the big, amazing Colts YouTuber, Cody from Bring the Juice podcast. So he will be here for the mock draft. So you guys stay tuned for that because I'm giving you a little sneak peek at one of the big impact players that we get right here on the screen. It was an absolute blast. So thank Cody for that. If you guys haven't followed him and you guys are Colts fans, what are you doing? Go give him a follow because he is an absolutely awesome guy. So let's kick right into this. Talking about some key offseason departures, Eric Fisher. I think that he should be potentially re-signed. If you guys are new to the series, duration and amount are just there for fun. Obviously, feel free to give your feedback on something that they should be paid. Just don't take it too seriously. It's just there coming out of my ass, but kind of thinking just what could be fun. And then signed is whether I think they'll be re-signed / do I want them to be re-signed? Because some guys like Marlon Mack might want to make a little more money and be a higher priority back in another scheme. But still, Eric Fisher is a guy who you should bring back. Give him another shot. The guy has had a pretty solid NFL career overall. As long as he stays healthy, he will be perfectly fine. 10 million a year might not get it cut, but honestly, again, those numbers are more arbitrary than anything. I'd be very happy if I can get him anywhere under 12 million a year with the amount of cap space we have. T.Y. Hilton thinking about retiring, so I don't think that bringing him back is going to do much for the team either. Mark Lewinsky, I think, would be a great get. I know that there's another guard that's up for contract that probably should be brought back as well, but we cannot know that for certain. If Lewinsky gets brought back for sub 10 mil a year, I think that would be an absolute steal. Could be more, could be less. I'm not 100% sure. Again, numbers are a little bit more arbitrary than anything, but I do think he should be brought back on a lengthier deal. Xavier Rhodes, he's coming to the end of his road, I guess pun intended, but still, I think Xavier Rhodes has done a very good job in the cover 2 scheme. He's now moving to cover 3. So for you guys who want to see what I did in my mock draft for 7th round, feel free to go check it out. It's already up. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more that I kind of regret going after Trent McDuffie because I talked about it being a cover 2 scheme when it's now Gus Bradley's cover 3. Regardless, I still think he could do it perfectly fine. But still, Mo Alie-Cox, another guy. I know that Doyle's thinking about retiring with T.Y. Hilton, and that would be probably a good thing to make sure that you have more than just Kylen Granson on the roster. Zach Pascal also is there, and honestly, I think he's a pretty damn good contributor. Does he deserve more than $3 million a year? I think so, but it is a harsh NFL with a very large wide receiver pool, so you never know. Sam Tevi, also Julian Davenport, probably shouldn't be re-signed. They're just guys who are really good plug-and-play dudes. They could be, honestly, and if you didn't pay them $8 million or more, I think it wouldn't be too shabby. Marlon Mack, again, I think he wants to go and get some money elsewhere. Kamoko Toure, I actually really like him, always have, and honestly, I wish he could be brought back, but I don't think that he wants to be. And then we got some potential trade and cut candidates. Jack Doyle also thinking about retiring. He also has quite a bit of money that you can free up from getting rid of him. Ben Benogu, also a couple million that you can free up. And then Carson Wentz is the talk of the town as a potential trade / cut candidate. And if he goes, I would just say go for a 2nd or a 3rd. The guy proved that he's not going to be an interception machine. So honestly, I don't really know what you're going to get better than Carson Wentz. That's the real question. I don't really understand unless you're making a big move for Russell Wilson or something, and not really sure that this franchise is one to make very big moves like that. So I honestly think Carson Wentz is perfectly fine in the situation he's in. And I just think that if he did not have that one bad last game, he would be in much better favor with you guys as a fan base because you guys would be in the playoffs. Then we got some offseason targets. So I think that Teron Armstead, if you want to dish out some cash, could be a very, very good get. Left tackle spot. Again, you have Eric Fisher, who's not kind of a bona fide guaranteed starter that's always healthy. So getting someone like Teron Armstead, who is arguably the best left tackle in the NFL, wouldn't be too shabby. $22 million a year might sound like a lot, but you do have the cap space for it. Christian Kirk as well. Somebody who I just like to a lot of these franchises, as well as Allen Robinson. I think that'd be a steal. I would love it. And then it's my number 1 destination for him. Anthony Walker Jr., bringing him back, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, no, that's to the Browns. Oof. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, he might have been on this roster. Wait, he was on the Browns because he came from this roster. There we go. We got it. Bringing him back would not be too shabby. That number seems a bit high, but honestly, I think that he's a very solid linebacker. So again, the years and amount, those are arbitrary. Feel free to fight me on those, and I'm perfectly willing to give ground because, again, they're there for fun and speculation. LaMarcus Joyner, I know that the safety group needs probably one more dude, and a veteran presence like him wouldn't be too shabby. Steven Nelson and Patrick Peterson also be really good in a cover 3 style scheme. So let me know what you guys think on that. Now it's the fun part of the episode. It's mock draft time. So see you there.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bring the Juice. Your guy, Cody, here. Joining me, my friend Alex from Hail Mary Sports.
What's
Alex,
up?
how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Love to be part of this community. So hello, everybody.
Yes. Good, man. I'm glad to have you on here, man, because we haven't done a whole lot of draft content yet for the Indianapolis Colts this year. The Colts obviously don't have a first-round pick, so we've been focusing a lot more on the channel on free agency and been more in that department. So we've been talking, though, a little bit about, okay, let's actually look at this draft and some legitimate options for the Indianapolis Colts. And so what I thought we could do is kind of do a draft simulator, kind of talk about this. I know, obviously, Alex, you have a lot of insight. You study a lot of these prospects. You have a lot better, I'm going to be honest, you have a lot better opinion, and your opinion holds a lot more weight about these prospects than I do, because I have not really looked at them at all in any amount of depth. So I figure we can just jump right in to this and kind of go from here. So I'll let you take this away, man. I'll let this kind of be your show. I'll obviously add any insight that you have. But yeah, without further ado, man, take it away.
All right. Well, guys, just so you guys know a little bit more about my channel, Hail Mary Sports, it is basically based around the entire NFL draft and a little bit of USFL content if you guys like that too. So that is why I want to partner here with my boy Cody, because you guys, especially Cody, know a lot about the Indianapolis Colts, more than I do, because you guys are the super fans. So I wanted to have that nice little mesh of knowledge of your team and knowledge of the draft. So without further ado, let's kick this off and let's have a good time. Unfortunately, we have to suffer through the first round because, of course, Carson.
Oh, bro, don't remind me. Oh,
No.
It was honestly, like on paper, okay, the trade didn't look that bad, right? It doesn't look, when you look at the stats, it's like, okay, it wasn't that bad. Like Carson Wentz wasn't that bad of a quarterback, but there's rumors all around him potentially getting traded or getting cut. So I want that first round pick back. I'll just say that.
I will say this. One, that sound is god awful. But number two, we will possibly have to deal with that sound. But number two, the whole trade in general, when you think about it, it's going to be pick 16 for a quarterback that was potentially going to be an MVP in one of his first years starting. So I think honestly that was perfectly fine. When you think about the future of the team, my Lord, when you think about the future of the team, I honestly think that how much better are you going to get than Carson Wentz? Like, how much more production can you ask for? Granted, it would be nice to get in the playoffs. I think you'd agree, right, Cody? Like,
100%. Yeah.
Nice not to lose to the Jaguars. But
no.
I will say this, but I think that adding a rookie quarterback or a veteran for a lot more money is, I don't, correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't really think it's the Colts' way to pay a crap ton of money to a quarterback. It just doesn't seem like a Colts thing to do. But also, you have to really swing for the fences to guarantee yourself that the quarterback that you're going to be paying is going to be a lot better. And there's no quarterback in this class, in my opinion, that could outclass Carson Wentz. So
yeah. Especially in round 2. I don't think there's anybody you're going to be able to get.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot, this is a notoriously weak quarterback class. I heard the top end talent, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard, the top end talent's not what it usually is in the normal drafts every other year. So
if under the condition Carson Wentz gets dealt for a first, that is a dream scenario. Maybe it's Carson Wentz packaged with a third for a first round pick. God only knows. Then you're probably going to be looking at your only chance of potentially getting above Carson Wentz is Malik Willis. And that guy is such a raw prospect that you're either going to get someone who's a complete bust, which is true of most prospects. I mean, every prospect's boom or bust. But he's somebody who you are going to need a lot of time to develop, and he has an extremely high ceiling, but the chances of that are very low. So again, you're taking a risk on somebody where Carson just put up 27-7, right?
Yeah.
To go after somebody who he threw 3 interceptions versus Middle Tennessee State and Ole Miss. Like,
yeah.
Like he almost threw more interceptions than Carson did in an entire 17-game stretch. Or how many games? I know that.
Yeah. 17.
He's 17.
Yep.
He threw more interceptions than Carson did in 17 in essentially 2 games. It's just you won't get much from that. And then guys like Carson Strong, I see people in the draft community, Broshmo especially, drafting Carson Strong to them. It's like there's just not that level of talent. It's not a good talent jump. Versus, I know that you'll probably agree to this, wide receiver and corner, I think, are 2 of the biggest issues for this team. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say wide receiver obviously is a lot more. Honestly, surprisingly, corner is not that big of a need as it was. Like last offseason, 100%.
Yeah.
But the Colts have some nice young corners. They have Rocky Sin, who actually took a huge leap this year. Same with Isaiah Rodgers, who was a 6th-round pick in 2020.
Wow. Yeah.
Both these guys, I think, actually solidified themselves as the guys that could potentially be, the number 1, number 2 corners moving forward, which was shocking. Like, I did not think that last year that would happen. I thought maybe one of these guys would make a leap, not both of them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think right now, what I was thinking for corner is probably either you sign a veteran or 2, or you draft a guy like middle rounds. I would honestly say for the Colts, wide receiver, certainly. You could throw in tight end as well.
Yeah.
And maybe even, left tackle is one, because the Colts are uncertain there, but they could re-sign Eric Fisher.
Yeah.
And then edge rush as well would be the other one for me.
Well, after going edge rush in both the 1st and 2nd round last year, I promise I will not do the same this year. I will say that. Even though I love my boy Cody Pay. He was my edge 1 last year. I was very excited for him to go to the Colts. And honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he didn't do too shabby this year. He wasn't a bust by a stretch.
No, not at all. I mean, I think he's a really good run defender, but I think where he kind of, we want to see improvement is just the sack total. He only had 4 last year. Yeah. So you want to see that go up. But I thought he had a solid rookie season. Nothing spectacular, but that's kind of what you get when you get a guy in the 20s. Like sometimes, especially at edge rush.
Yeah.
So I think the future is bright for Kwity. I'll just say that.
I think that he's going to be a solid edge rusher. And feel free to fill me in on Deo Odeyingbo, because I wasn't very high on that pick when he came in, and I know that edge is still potentially neat. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was hurt. That's the reason he fell to the 2nd round, from what I heard. Chris Ballard, the GM, he said that he would have, they were debating, whether to go Kwity or him, because they feel like he's that talented, but he was just hurt. That's why he fell that far, and he missed half the season. So it was hard to get a good gauge on him his rookie year, because physically he's the longest, I think, prospect in the last number of years. So he's got all the physical tools and everything, and he was pretty dominant at Vanderbilt from what I heard. But yeah, the issue was just he was injured. So I don't know quite how I feel on Dio right now, if I'm being honest.
Gotcha. Well, that aside, I think wide receiver is probably the position I'm going to target here. And with T.Y. Hilton, I hope to God y'all don't bring him back. No disrespect to T.Y., but for the amount of money that a lot of wide receivers go for, I'd rather reinvest it elsewhere. You correct me if you disagree, but I think that a guy like Sky Moore is an absolute baller, for one, but 2, I mean, the guy can play inside or out. So regardless of where you want to put Michael Pittman, which, by the way, I didn't tell you this, but I went to school with Michael Pittman. He would be
really,
Oaks Christian. So definitely got to see him firsthand. That guy's a beast. I remember him running back 100-yard touchdowns on returns. So that's just a core memory of mine. Regardless, I think Sky Moore is a perfect guy to complement someone like that. He's also extremely young, if I'm not mistaken. He is a true junior. Just want to check that. Versus the guy who came out last year from Western Michigan, which was Dwayne Eskridge, who I was a big fan of. Sky Moore is getting comps to Deontay Johnson. That's a pretty good get in the 2nd round, especially if you get to have him not be a primary number 1 receiver. So for me, I'm going to be going Sky Moore here. Feel free to put your thoughts in on somebody getting Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the best wide receiver on the board, which seems to be Sky Moore, is the option there. So I'm good with that. Wide receiver fills a need. You got your number 1, number 2 moving forward, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. I have do you have an idea of I feel like I would personally eliminate the sound on this portion of the draft. I feel so bad. It gets so annoying. Yeah.
There, I think I muted it now. I think we're good.
Oh, so you can mute the. Nope.
Well, never mind. I thought I could.
We were like, we got it. It's like, nope.
Well, I said I muted the screen audio, so I don't know. That's so weird.
You gotta love it, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I would honestly, I'm gonna see if I can mute the screen audio as well
Okay.
on my side. You never know.
Yeah.
Like audio. Let's see.
I don't know why they do that.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I'm just checking it out right now, and it says muted screen audio, man.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Again, it gets a little bit annoying, but the trades disappear after the third round usually. So
that's good.
So
we're just getting them all now.
We'll get through it. We'll get through it. And hopefully it doesn't go into an auto trade because that would be so annoying. God bless. Okay, yeah. Sometimes
82.
Cool. So with this pick, after all of that, there's still some studs on the board. So personally, I have Myjai Sanders as a first round graded player. I don't know if I would probably take him here, but he'd be a very good complement to Kwity Paye. He's a lot more of like a hyper light speed rusher than anything. He came in at 242 at the Senior Bowl. Somebody who has lightning fast hands. He's a bit more lanky. He's going to be testing extremely well, so he's not going to be here. I'll just say that. But if you can get him, I think that'd be a good spot. But other positions that you would say to target, because for me, I do like the idea of Mario Goodrich here.
Okay. Corner, I could see that. I could go for a tight end.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the third round.
Like, for me, I saw the cap structure, and I think that who's Jack Doyle? He's going to be up for a contract in 2 years? In a year?
Yeah, he might. There was talks of him retiring this year after this year. So him and Ty were going to potentially retire together.
Oh wow. Okay.
But
shoot.
Yeah, we'll see. We haven't heard anything. That's just the weird thing about it. Like, Chris Ballard at his end of the year presser said, "We'll know in the next couple of weeks." We literally have heard nothing. So
isn't that old?
I'm not sure what that means exactly, but I still think regardless, you need to get a guy, receiving tight end.
Yeah,
because you really don't have a guy. You drafted Kylan Granson last year in round 4.
SMU.
He's pretty raw still. He's still developing. He didn't get a whole lot of looks last year. I'll just say that. So I would like a guy that's a true number 1 tight end. Personally, I like guys like Mike Gesicki in free agency.
Yeah.
There's a couple other tight ends. David Njoku is one that's really interesting to me.
I like that.
So I honestly think they might go tight end free agency, but in the event that they don't for some weird reason, I would say tight end's definitely an option there as well. I could see them potentially drafting another edge guy just because they have Kwity, they have Dio, but it really will depend how they attack free agency, I think. If they go sign a guy like Chandler Jones, for example, then boom, you don't really have an issue there and you maybe won't address it. But if I know anything about Chris Ballard based off of his history is like he loves his D linemen. That's for sure.
That is true.
But I could go for a corner here. Honestly, the best out of a corner, I could go for a corner here. I would be fine with that.
Yeah, for me, it's between Mario Goodrich and Martin Emerson. I know Martin Emerson's going to be much better as more of a press man corner than anything. I know Goodrich is going to be better all around, and I know obviously this scheme, if I'm not mistaken, feel free to correct me, is going to be heavy zone based.
Yeah, so they got a new DC this offseason, Gus Bradley.
Right.
He plays more of that cover 3 kind of thing. But yeah, they've been a zone team ever since Frank Reich came to town and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and hopefully they play a little bit more man coverage, because when they did down the stretch this last year, they actually were really good. Like their defense really improved. So I'm hoping that like with the, Gus Bradley's with his system, I heard the pass rush seems to get better everywhere he goes. And so that's been kind of the Achilles heel for this team. And they have a lot of young defensive linemen. But I think they might let Xavier Rhodes walk. So I do think they need to go get a corner. Even though they do have 3 guys that I really like. It wouldn't hurt to add some more talent and some more competition there in that corner. So, I'm good with either of those guys. Whoever you think would be
better. You brought up a good point with Gus Bradley in here. And honestly, when I think back to it, Gus Bradley was with the Raiders, right?
Yeah, last year.
So, honestly, I always thought about drafting Martin Emerson to the Raiders when Gus Bradley was there. And I think he'd be a good fit for Gus Bradley's defense. So thank you for correcting me on that. because I know Eberflus is up in Chicago. So getting Martin Emerson is a steal. I would do it in the second round personally.
Yeah, give Miles the new DC coach or new DB coach. Give him another guy to work with. So I love it. Now was he a little bit of a bigger corner?
He's going to be a little bit heavier. He's going to be a little bit
that's kind of the guys they like to bring in, from what I understand. Because they brought back a guy that they drafted a couple years ago, Marvell Tell, who's just physically just a freak out there.
He's out of USC.
They brought him back because it was so weird. He got cut and nobody heard anything from him, and they just brought him back. And that kind of seems to be the mold. He's one of those bigger, physically gifted guys. So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I did not do another ring-a-ling while you're talking. But
it seemed to turn off. So
it did?
I didn't hear it that time. I don't know.
You heard that?
Oh, never mind.
I was like, oh man, let's go. I was so happy for us. But usually these disappear. I'm just knocking on wood that it disappears in a hot second. But regardless, somebody who I'm actually targeting for you guys is Jelani Woods out of Virginia. The guy, he's a very, very talented tight end. I love him quite a bit. At this pick, I might take him. It's a little bit rich. But Jake Ferguson actually is someone who I have higher. I did not expect him to be here. He absolutely balled out at the Senior Bowl. He's ready day one as a contributor, and I think he's better than Kylan Granson. I go to SMU, by the way, so I got to watch Kylan in person a lot, and I thought that he would be a really good complementary tight end rather than a tight end one. So I think you think the same thing. But this is a guy who I think could be an absolute baller. His name's Alex Wright. He's out of UAB. The guy is an extremely powerful speed rusher. He's 270 pounds, and he just does such a good job converting speed to power at this point in the draft. So I just dropped my 7-round mock draft. I took him to the Steelers in the 3rd as someone who could be an inside-outside flexible interior defensive lineman. The guy I think would be phenomenal, working next to DeForest Buckner as well as behind Kwity Paye and kind of being that relief, especially if you say Dio always gets hurt. That would be somebody who would be a very good rotational piece. But I will say that we can wait for Michael Clemens, who is an absolute beast as well out of Texas A&M.
Okay, so let's go tight end.
Yeah,
I think I like that better.
Yeah,
I think one thing I noticed about Ballard is he'll take the BPA, best player available.
Yeah,
it's typically his style.
Yeah.
So
especially with the drop off after Jake Ferguson, I heavily recommend going that route. So especially when knowing my boy Michael Clemens is going to be there later on, I think that's easily the best thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's just going to be our best case scenario at that point. But yeah, I think that so far the draft has fallen as well as we could probably want, besides the way that I did it last time, where you probably saw it on Twitter. I put up there and we got Jahan Dotson in the second round. I was like, hello. I have a top 20 grade on Jahan Dotson. The guy's fantastic player. So he could fall due to size, and as well as I think he's a redshirt senior. So I think that it's not impossible to say that he could be a really good steal at that point.
Yeah, but Ballard's a guy that he loves the Senior Bowl guys. He loves them.
Oh yeah,
he's got a lot of draft picks from the Senior Bowl. I'll just say that.
So at this point, do you think that Mark Lewinsky's that's up for a contract?
Yeah, him and Chris Reed. Yeah. They both they signed Chris Reed the last offseason to a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
I personally would bring them both back, but I don't know if they actually will. But yeah, I certainly think they do want to add depth on their offensive line.
Yeah.
Chris Ballard has said he wants 6, 7, 8 guys that can actually play, and be legit starters. So if they bring one of those guys back, there's still going to probably be a need there at interior offensive line.
Yeah.
Even though they have a lot of good depth there, he's a guy that will always. I feel like every year he's going to draft an offensive lineman. He's just that kind of GM.
I love it too, because I would totally do the same thing. And Thayer Mumford, however you pronounce it, he's a guy who played left tackle at a very high level at Ohio State, and then kicked in this year for Nicholas Petit-Frere. And he had some struggles for sure against guys like Aidan Hutchinson. There's a video of him, or it's like a GIF of him getting put on his rear. And it's quite funny, I must admit. It is very entertaining to see a guy of his size just get totally planted. But
but that would be interesting because, left tackle, he's had experience at left tackle.
Oh, yeah.
Would you potentially consider him? Even if you brought back Eric Fisher, you re-signed Matt Pryor, who actually played really well for you when he had to fill in more on the right side. But if you bring them all back, you just have an open competition at left tackle.
Oh,
I could see that being a legit option for him.
I think that adds value to him because one, if he were going to be saying, I'm only going to play tackle in the NFL, I think arguably he's the best left tackle on the board. Still.
Wow.
And
really?
Yeah, I think honestly TDN underrates him, but I do think he does fall this far. We saw Trey Smith fall to the 7th round last year for heart concerns, but I mean, there are guys who fall in the draft, very good players. Thayer Mumford is one of them. I mean, I thought that he's a perfect guy to plug and play. And if you have an injury, he's going to be able to keep you up above the bar. So I think that he's definitely somebody for this team I absolutely love at this spot, but also it's somebody where in the long run or in case of injury, he can fill in at many other positions. And I think that's very valuable for a 5th round pick. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's where I'm going. And of course, people are calling because they just got pissed off. But yeah, no, I think that's probably the best route at that spot. And even guys like Cade Mays could be someone you could target. He's a right tackle who should be probably profiled as a guard. I don't. Another guy, actually, if you don't want to bring a guard back, Ja'Tyre Carter. This guy, I saw him at the Senior Bowl. He didn't win that as many reps as I'd want to be confident that he'd start in the NFL. But when he lost reps, he just looked infuriated with himself. And I could tell he actually has a really good motor and he actually wants to learn and compete and be the best. So for me, if I want somebody who can work their tail off, that's worth it for like a 5th round pick. So another guy, if we did not have Thayer there or Thayer Mumford, that is exactly who I'd go after. But this spot, there's a plethora of routes that I would potentially target. I mean, Justin Ross is a fun guy that you can get as a late round flyer. I mean, most people have heard of him at this point. He's only here because he had a spinal injury. And, well, he actually came back and played an entire year, so good for him. But, I mean, he was supposed to be a top 15 pick. That could be worth it. That could be.
Yeah.
And
that's what, that honestly, this reminds me, I know it didn't pan out for the Colts, but like Deion Kane a couple years ago.
I love Deion Kane too, dude. Like, I'm a Steelers fan, so sorry, Colts fans. But I remember when he came to the Steelers, I just thought he was so badass. Like, I just love him to death. But yeah, another guy who I'd potentially target is maybe in the next round, Eric Ezukanma. He's a 6'3" guy who can play reps at running back. Like at that size, it's ridiculous. So they're two different styles of wide receiver for sure. But I feel like Eric is just a much bigger version of what you'd want from Pittman. So yeah, I mean, at this point, what other positions do you think we should target?
I would say potentially safety could be one.
Yeah, I see like Wanye Thomas here is pretty good.
Yeah. I could see them potentially wanting to go. It's a good question. Yeah. Maybe, we already added a corner, so I don't think we need to do that. I would say either another wide receiver, or I would say potentially safety. Those would be the two I would say. Yeah.
So would we go after edge at this point? Because I know that we haven't addressed that yet either.
Yeah, maybe that would be an option.
Yeah, because I think that with the edges coming off the board at 6'5", 270 pounds, this guy he's freaky athletic, and Texas A&M, they do that. They have guys who are just crazy athletes at like high weights. DeMarvin Leal is another one this draft, 290 pounds, and when he's not trying to fatten up to be a D tackle, the guy is insane. Michael Clemens pops off almost as much as he does, and I would put DeMarvin Leal in the top 10 if he wants to be a pure edge. Like the guy's phenomenal. So to me, I think that's the best value, and I honestly think that should be the pick. So that's where I'm going to go with it. I like literally have my phone over my mouse and I'm like looking at it on my screen and the mouse is like an inch off. So I was clicking it. I'm like, the hell is happening, man? But yeah, no, I'm excited to see if we can get Eric Ezukanma as well, because that'd be a very nasty pairing. You have Pittman, Ezukanma, and Moore. I think all three could start and be. I think Ezukanma is very underrated. I'll put it that way. So usually with this series, because I do it by division, I usually don't allow for players to get duplicated in drafts. So the Colts get the premier pick of the crop. So you guys get to have the fun and get the guys who I think are steals. Which this next pick, we got the ring, is going to be Eric Ezukanma. That's going to be it. I mean, the guy, 6'3", 220 pounds, who can also play running back. I think you can sign me up for that one personally.
Yeah,
but
I love it.
Yeah, I know. One of my buddies, Ian Cummings, on Twitter, he absolutely loves him. Has him as a top 10 wide receiver.
Wow.
I'm not there yet. I'll put it that way. I'm not there, but I could be. I could be if I continue watching it and see that he continues developing into like this after the catch threat. I mean, at the end of the day, we are looking at looking at Treylon Burks. If you haven't heard of him yet, he's 6'3", 235 pounds, and he can run a 4.38. So
wow,
the guy's insane. But
yeah,
he's kind of reminiscent of a like on sale version of that. Like if you went to Walmart to get like a high end Treylon Burks, you're gonna get Eric Ezukanma. Like you're not going to be going to the clearance section of Walmart to get that. Like he's very good. So regardless, so I know that we want to look at safety here. Unfortunately, Wanye Thomas, who's one of my favorite picks in the draft, is not going to be here. But you still have, are you going to be looking more for a free or strong safety? Because if I'm not mistaken, I saw free is pretty thin on your roster.
Yeah, Julian Blackmon got hurt last year, so they didn't really have an answer for him the whole year.
Yeah.
So that could be some helpful. They have George Odom, who is a good player, but he's you could always go for another safety. I'll just say that.
Yeah, because right now I'm split between Verone McKinley, who I think is absolutely great. He had a very tough Senior Bowl because they put him in one-on-one coverage. It's like you don't do that with a guy who's supposed to be more. I mean, I think that he'd be very good as a single high safety in Gus Bradley's system. I think he'd be great doing that, but that's also just me. But I think that would be a very good option. If you want to look more of a strong safety, Leon O'Neal is somebody who can absolutely lay the boom. And I'm a big fan of him. So that's just me. And I absolutely hate Texas A&M. So you know that I'm being unbiased here. Like I go to a Texas school. It's just, it's not something that I like to do. But I think Verone McKinley is the best option here. I'm pretty sure he's a redshirt sophomore as well. So super young, moldable, and you have time to develop him. It's a 7th round pick too. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah. This next pick, so you talked about getting another wide receiver again. Like we already did that, but would you consider going after maybe like best player available with let's see, he's not even on the board anymore. But Dontario Drummond, he's gonna be somebody who's a very solid guy. Or what about running back as getting a third back in the 7th?
Yeah, I mean they have Deion Jackson, who undrafted guy last year. I think they like, but I could see them honestly doing that. Just bringing in more competition. That I would think they would go best player available. Honestly,
okay. And I honestly think the best player available are these 3 top running backs: Ty Chandler, Abram Smith, and Deshaun Corbin. So do you think that they would be going after more of the guy who will lay the boom, somebody who's better as a one cut, or somebody who's more of a receiving back? Because I don't really see Ty
So they have their receiving back in Nyheim Hines already.
And they signed
Jonathan Taylor's more of that all around guy. Marlon Mack was more of that one cut guy, I feel like. So I feel like that might be more their preference.
Yeah.
It's just get a guy like that.
Yeah. That's Deshaun Corbin for you. That guy's he's very, very solid as a running back. Like Florida State knows how to train their running backs in the first place, and you already know he was probably a 5-star in high school. So getting somebody of his caliber in the 7th round, I think it's better than getting guys like J.J. Taylor like the Patriots did in the past. Like guys who we thought were really good. Deshaun Corbin could be going as high as the 4th round. Like he's that good. So that's going to be the draft. We answered a lot of questions that this roster has, and of course, free agency is going to screw it all up. You already know it, Cody. Like it's going to happen. But getting Sky Moore as well as Eric Ezukanma paired up with Michael Pittman, like sign me up for that. And then getting somebody to be a true corner 1 on this team, he can legitimately be the best corner on the entire roster. And that's with the ascension of Rodgers as well as Rock Ya-Sin. And then, getting like every single pick, honestly, I'm actually a huge fan of. I think I might have liked it better than the one that I posted on Twitter. So you never know, man. You never know. So I'll let you finish this out.
Yeah, that's an awesome draft, man. I think that would definitely fill a lot of needs for this team. They have a good amount of them. Obviously, you can't completely fill all of them in one off season, but I think this is a good step in the right direction. Now, like you said, obviously, I think this team will probably do some things in free agency and maybe make some trades. Who knows? That maybe will change this up. Maybe they won't have as many draft picks. Maybe they'll have more. We don't know. But as it stands right now, I think this is a good draft for what the Colts want to do moving forward. But yeah, man, before I guess I let you go here, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? Obviously you have a YouTube channel, which we'll link in the channel description as well. But where can they find you and your content?
Yeah, so the majority of my content is on YouTube. So you see the name Hail Mary Sports. If you ever look up Hail Mary Podcast, it'll pop up as well. Because for some reason, I named it that for a long time, and I was like, I didn't even have a podcast. So I know, right? Like, no smart points for me right there. But yeah, I mean, I have a website that I'm building right now. I'm going to be putting up scouting reports there as often as possible. So you guys get to see, if you guys like Trent McDuffie, don't look at the site, because I have a little bit of hate sent his way. And then also I'm going to be doing a podcast, and I already have Caleb Ellaby's scouting report up there. So people who are draft nerds, check that out. But mainly go to YouTube, and then all the links are there. To join my Discord community as well, over 120 members, and I have a fan mock coming up. So feel free to take part in that.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, be sure to check out his content. I think you said you're nearing 4K on YouTube, so be sure to help him out, get him to that mark. Obviously, your goal is to do that before draft time, but I think we can help you out to get that before then.
Appreciate it.
So everybody, be sure to go check out his stuff. Alex, thank you so much, man, for coming on. So it was nice to meet you, and it's nice to have you on the channel. We'll have to do it again soon, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, guys,